Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, trophy hunters of all ages. This is the 28th episode of the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast.
Woo!
Woo!
Go
I'm your
us.
host, CJ, aka the Soul Gamer, aka the Trophy Hunter. I'm joined by Mr. Clothing Optional himself. He's most definitely not a noob. Big D, aka
What?
the Naked Gamer.
What it is, homies?
And we're joined, as always, by the hot taken, Twitter beef making, gamer extraordinaire himself, Woodsy, aka the Math.
What's up?
What it do, baby? We
Oh,
thank you, the
shut
listener,
up.
for tuning into the rarest takes in the gaming podcast sphere. As always, we bring you all of our own unique takes on all things video games, all while recording and publishing our episodes edit free. Woo!
Mouthful.
You got through it.
We bring you our podcast via all the listening staples every Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or whenever the hell you get to recording this.
Whatever the fuck we want. Fuck you, Ryan.
That's what we do. So we'll post it to Apple, Spotify, Google, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Anchor. And as always, if you want to see our ugly mugs for whatever reason, you can tune into us via the Raw Cuts Gaming channel on YouTube.
Woo!
So, with all the rigmarole out of the way, we will be getting into what we've been playing this week in gaming, and then maybe a little bit of Woodsy Pile of Shame update? Question mark? Yeah.
Oh
So,
my god.
with all
You
that
do have a
nonsense
problem.
being said, what we've been playing. Big dude.
Is it on me? Oh man. Ghost of Tsushima. I've been I've been going to town on that single player. I actually just got through the Act 1 where you go take Lord Shimura's bitch ass back. I don't know why you
Yes.
don't just take over that motherfucker yourself and run it, but that's just me. It took me a little bit. 'cause
Have you
I
not
do all
been
the
paying
side
attention to
missions.
the whole theme of the game about honor?
Yeah, but then you start
Right
stabbing
now,
people in the back and stuff. I don't know.
He tries
You're
to
already
frown
not
on it,
doing
you know.
Whatever, man.
Oh, he's your like surrogate father and all that. You know, whatever. Fuck him.
Fuck him. I need to run this bitch. I don't see that bitch doing any sort of unstoppable thrusting parry. So anyway, just started in on Act 2, and I actually just liberated or did that one Mystic mission where you have to liberate the 6 farms.
Oh,
get
right.
the armor, the special armor. set.
Gozen's armor.
Gozen's armor. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one took a minute.
Yeah.
I did
Those
get all
farms
the bonuses.
Those farms are really spread out. You know, like I've had a hard time like finding like the next objective in the farm. I felt like, because you liberate one little area, and I'm like,
Yeah.
where the hell are the little red outlines again? I'm like, I've been in this hut like 15 times.
I just
walk
follow
around
the
circles.
wind. The wind.
Well, yeah, but in those
Whenever in
missions, it
doubt,
won't
swipe
do it.
up.
It wouldn't.
Whenever
it
in
doesn't
doubt,
help.
swipe up.
It
No,
does
I
not
get- I
help
get
in,
that.
in the middle of those missions. So
Yeah,
when
'cause
he's
you're-
talking about when you're at the farm and there are
Yeah.
the 3 hostages or 4,
Yep. Yep.
the wind wouldn't help you to get to the next hostage. Once
Yes,
you're
it does.
in the farm.
Well, it'll
I
show
tried
you
that
where the.
all the time.
I did too.
That's
It's
fine.
I guess
I
whatever.
love this game. Don't get me wrong. It's literally I've that very small complaint in that because I actually have the same complaint when you're in the villages too, looking for your upgrades. Is
Sure.
that
Yeah,
it
no,
doesn't,
that
it
is
doesn't just
yeah.
pop it up on the screen where it's like
Like
I
where,
wish
where's
over
the one trader?
Yeah.
Where's
Yeah.
the,
You
yeah?
gotta
yeah.
get-
Just
once
show
you
me.
get- once you get close enough, it eventually shows
just-
up. But I want
It
to
does.
like look around and then see it. Okay,
I
know.
just never experienced the mission thing that you guys were talking
Oh
about.
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I personally just
That is
didn't
my
have-
biggest. That was my biggest.
It was only on like one of the 6 farms. So
Oh, okay.
like the other ones, like if you come in from the right angle, you do the natural like loop around and you find all the hostages. Not a big deal. But there's one that
And maybe-
was massive,
hey.
and I ended up walking in circles. Like where the fuck is the other people?
Maybe I'm just that good, baby.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Gamer
Um,
extraordinaire.
I did say that earlier.
Also,
I
some
regret
Astrobot VR still going to town in that challenge belt. Letting my little one try and try and get us some of them. So that's been
How's
fun
the big
too.
dog doing? Is he?
He's
making
good.
any
He's
progress?
good. We got 5 or 6 2-stars on the challenge belt out of the 25.
I've been meaning to ask you. So, the recommended age for PlayStation VR, I think in the manual is like 11 or something like that. I've never
Have you-
really read into why.
You ever met Big
I didn't
D's
know
son?
if you knew that or if you had any concerns about
He puts
that.
11-year-olds to shame.
So
I guess, yeah.
So usually, like, we do a thing with time, right? So you usually can't ever play more than 20, 30 minutes at a crack.
Sure.
So he's
But
not
why?
sitting there.
I guess my main point is, why does PlayStation set the age recommendation at 11? Is it like some sort of like eye or brain development thing?
Yeah, I doubt it's
know.
a development thing. My guess would be it's an epilepsy thing. So
Yeah,
that they're not
that'd
liable
be
for
my
little
guess,
kids
I guess.
getting epilepsy. So
Yeah.
and sometimes they won't tell you if they're getting dizzy and all that other crap. So, but
Right.
I make sure to ask him all the time how he's doing, and he's actually got friends in kindergarten that also have played Astrobot VR, so that makes me less worried about it. Also,
No
he's
fucks.
not the only one. Yeah. And then we hit up some Call of Duty Cold War, Rocket League, and we played Crash Team with the old Mavsy over here, which was that was a kart game.
I guess that dovetails into you, Woodsy. What have you been playing over there, big dog?
Oh, I've been playing a few of them vid games. Been playing a lot of we got our usual staples of our Rocket League and our some matches of Call of Duty, or so I'm told. I think I was blackout at the time.
Don't feel bad. I barely remember playing Crash. So
right there you go. and then Ghost of Tsushima. So those three. But then we did do a live stream, actually a couple of different ones, which brings me to a gripe I have with the PlayStation 5's UI that I didn't have before. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, and somebody needs to educate.
No, I've heard there are quite a few complaints about the UI. I mean, not quite, but let's hear your complaint, because I know I have some too.
Nevertheless, on the previous on the PS4, when you did your live streams, because it was hooked up to my Twitter account and to the hooked up to the Raw Cuts Twitter account, and then hooked up to the Raw Cuts Twitch channel. If I were to start a live stream, it would automatically bring up the sub menu where I could tweet out the live stream happening on Twitch.
Check me out, blah blah blah.
Right. Whereas this doesn't do that. I can just start the live stream from Twitch, but then I have to go into the Twitch app and share it onto Twitter. So, and that took me a minute to figure out.
That sounds like a setting thing.
I think it probably is, but there's so many I couldn't figure it out, and I was dicking off with it for the first 15, 20 minutes of the ride.
Not what you want to be doing when you're trying.
Yeah. I mean, we had at least 40 people watching at the start.
Right. Clearly.
Yeah. And then it ballooned up to 28,000, and then we lost them all.
More like 40 million.
They were like, "What is this asshole doing? He doesn't even know how to work PlayStation 4 on the Twitter." So, no, but we played that Crash, and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. I think Ryan did, and Big D did as well. We really needed our fourth, and there was some guy who was like, "Oh yeah, I have Crash Team Racing. I'm also a part of the same podcast you guys are. I'll make sure to join you and have fun with you." But that guy just didn't show up. He didn't show up.
I think someone was in one of your 28,000. I know it's hard to follow the stream. I think there was someone in the comments of that Twitch stream.
It's a lot, right?
So many.
Nevertheless, we had a good time. It's a great game. One thing I didn't cover on the podcast last week, which was interesting because both D and Ryan commented on it as they were booting up the game for the first time. I just happened to be at the party with them, where the end user licensing agreement, you have to literally press R1 to go through all 48 pages of this motherfucker. You can't just click the read all accept at the bottom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've never encountered this in any game ever before, and this is a game geared towards children.
Right.
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, man. And in the state that we were in, I was in no mood to have that.
Right.
Like, that was the first thing I said when I logged on. It's like, what is this?
Right.
I'm surprised you didn't. Yeah.
I almost rage quit. I was like, I don't.
And it does take a minute to get used to the non-modern game control scheme.
Controls were fucking goofy.
Yeah, it's a little goofy, but I commented on that last week. So
it was like playing Mario Kart on the Switch.
And then I hopped into Hitman 3 for about 5 seconds before I realized I have a problem.
This sounds like an opportunity. It sounds like an opportunity.
And I played a lot of the sniper multiplayer missions and some of the other multiplayer missions in Hitman 2. Apparently neglected the single player entirely. So I've been playing a lot of Hitman 2, so I could go into Hitman 3 with all my items or whatever. But yeah, man, Hitman 2 is awesome as fuck. I'm on the level with like the Secret Society right now, so I have.
Oh, you're almost done. I
have two main levels left. Well, 1.5.
Is that the one that takes place with like everyone's wearing like the cloaks and the dagger and all that shit? Okay, yeah. I can remember if that was 1 or 2. Oh yeah, that mission's tough to get around, man. Oof. Yeah.
I just found the right path right away, and I'm doing pretty good.
What'd you think of Miami?
I actually think my favorite level so far is actually the one in like the suburban Vermont,
Colorado.
Delaware. Yeah. That one's great.
You're in the neighborhood party, you go to like the barbecue and all that bullshit.
Yeah. Because it's super sandboxy and not hard. So you can
and something you like semi-relate to living in the burbs, and you're like going to some little cholo party,
right?
Whatnot, yeah.
Right. So I like that one a lot. But yeah, no, I'm playing that as a prelude before I hop into Hitman 3. And yeah, can't wait to play Hitman 3. I mean, Hitman 2 is great. It took me a minute to like get that itch back, but now I got that itch back. We're like.
You should see someone.
Do you have the Hitman 2 like complete edition?
Yeah,
I do.
I bought the complete editions of both the first and the second.
Yeah, so there's 2 extra levels in Hitman 2, and I had recently gone back and I don't know if we've covered this in the pod, but I recently gone back and played those levels. You know, New York, where you're playing the bank, and that mission's awesome. And
then there's the one in like the Maldives or whatever, right?
Yes. Oh my goodness, that is so good. I'm excited for you guys to play that. So, you know, I dub myself this whole solo gamer. You guys have dubbed me that over the years. Solo gamer being I also like to play only one game at once. So what I've been playing this week has been Ghosts, only Ghost. I have been, we've had an empty house here for the past week, so I have been gaming a bit more. You know, still a little burnt out from work and whatnot, but Friday I was able to kind of get on and play a bunch. So I've been really churning through the single player on there. One of the gripes I had was finding people specifically in those like farm missions after you go back to the first island. And I don't want to get into anything spoilers for D, I don't want to, or anyone out there. But I'm on the second island. And another one of my slight gripes is the assassination things you do. You know, you push square to assassinate someone. I don't like that, you have to push triangle to chain assassinate folks, because sometimes like I think I'm close enough for assassination to do it, and I'm not, and I try. And it's me going too quick, probably is part of the problem. So I go up there and I bash triangle because I'm going to take down 2 of these guys. And all of a sudden I'm doing my heavy attack and I'm like, oh fuck, now I'm in the middle of it.
Right.
So I wish it was just. I don't understand why I need to have a different button for chain. I'm always going to want to chain assassinate fools.
I know. I do kind of agree with you because that was one thing that frustrated me a little bit too.
It's not a big gripe. I'm loving this game. But
at the same time, I like the option. Like for example, like if you're on top of a tent and there's like the leader dude, right?
Yeah.
And he's standing next to another dude. You can drop down and just assassinate that other dude. And I don't. Am I going to do a spoiler?
No, I don't.
All right. There's a move you're going to unlock where the leader's head, you just get to chop it off.
Sweet.
I don't think I've Well,
You haven't.
did.
I think I spoiled it. It comes later.
Well,
It's an end of tier. It's an end of Act 2 thing.
No, I just unlocked that. So is it pushing? I mean, it's not going to spoil for anything for D, but is it pushing the two triggers down?
No, it's still just pressing square, but then
then I haven't
you can
unlocked
go
that yet.
in.
No, that's fine. I don't care. So I just
So
unlocked.
I like
gold
that.
skill, right? Like,
It comes into play a little bit more later as to why they separated that.
Okay, well, then I'm fine. But it's just one of those like little quirks that I've been like running up against the wall with. Minor, but like what I've noticed with this game is there is a lot to do, and it's not quite like Assassin's Creed a lot to do, but like you're running into a lot of camps. It gets a little samesies. But when you do these tales, you follow along these various folks, and you go from story to story, and it kind of culminates in the end. I just before this recording, and I'm not going to ruin it for D, but I just finished Yuna's tale, and that'll probably be a little more to woods where you go through and take out the one person and then go kill the boss, and you find out what these people did. And they always, like, at the end of the tale, they always had this quiet moment with you and the person you had this tale with, and they're always like, so you heard this or you heard that, and it's just kind of like this moment of like, and it's usually some pretty deep and heavy shit, and you're like, oof, wow, like the weight that these people carry around with them. And you don't just like they just don't come up and just not an NPC just blurt it out to you. You really have to like earn that story. I think it resonates a lot. It reminds me a lot of what I got out of Last of Us 2. Where it wasn't just someone going to this mission and or finding an NPC and them telling you something. It's you.
Yeah. You actually end up caring about the characters and their
that's exactly the
motivations.
Exactly the same thing that happened with Last of Us 2. So I definitely appreciate this game more and more I play it.
My personal favorite, and I'll just throw this out there for you two guys, just to see what you guys think, of all of the storylines in the game, even I think more than the main storyline with Jin. I think my favorite storyline, which impacted me the most emotionally, was Nojubu. I'm definitely fucking that up. No, the warrior monk guy.
Oh yeah. So I'm working through his right now too. I'm a healthy way into his, but I haven't quite got that last turn.
The end of that one really hits hard.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that then, because I definitely take you at your word with that one. So more Ghosts. I am dying to play Hitman 3. I think it'll be a good kind of not, I don't know if palate cleanse is the right word, but it's definitely it's instead of this big giant sprawling open out world map, it's going to be more contained sandbox. You can go in and
we might match up on that, right? Because I'll be finishing up Hitman 2 potentially as you're finishing up Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. So I am looking forward to playing Hitman 3. All Hitman together. And one PSA for you out there. We've had a few people, one of our millions of fans, ask us, kind of in the various channels, but you do not. I mean, I haven't played it yet, but you do not have to play Hitman 1 and 2 to get to Hitman 3, right? There is a through storyline. Things will make a little more sense, but these games are a big open sandbox for you to play in. And the story is you're a hitman, go in and have fun, try to kill these people in different ways. So don't be afraid to hop into Hitman 3 if you haven't played 1 and 2, though I strongly recommend playing 1 and 2. So a little Hitman PSA for that.
Thanks, CJ.
I want you to play with SD. That's so with all that being said, let's get into the news, boys. So last week, Friday, Xbox came out and said, hey, we are raising the price of Xbox Gold. We are going to raise it not $1, not $2. We're essentially doubling the price of Xbox Gold. Now, the price breaks are a little different depending on if it's 1, 2, 3, 6 months. But essentially, the 6-month subscription was the same price as the 12-month subscription.
Yeah, they effectively doubled the price.
This comes not long after them. If you remember earlier on one of our earlier episodes, for all you who are following along, they took down the year-long subscriptions, right? And everyone's like, well, are they getting away from it? What are they going to do? Well, they doubled the price. And so that would have been the headline of our story. However, Roughly 12 hours later, Friday night news dump, where folks aren't going to want to work in, they came out and they did a strong about face.
Right.
And they are keeping prices constant. On top of that, they're making something they didn't have already, free-to-play games truly free-to-play. So if you wanted to play Fortnite or Rocket League or whatever,
you don't have to have Xbox Live. Right.
Exactly. So, what are you, D? What you look the most flabbergasted? I know you like to share your opinions on these big companies. What do you have to say about Microsoft doubling and then reversing course?
So I will say, at least they reversed course like immediately after everyone was like, "Dude, what the fuck?" That being said, it's just so fucking confusing that they spent 18 months winning the PR battle only to go out like this and then just not just shoot themselves in the foot, but take like a chainsaw to it. It's just so dumb. Like, when we were speculating a bunch on different pricing tiers and things they could do. Personally, I still think that you should just do you get a subscription either way, and one has a bunch of free games and one doesn't. It's just the old online model. It's your silver and gold. Both of them are subscription. One's $5 a month. One is 20 or whatever it comes out to, and get rid of all this other bullshit. Like, if you're gonna do it, rip the Band-Aid off. Be done with it. Don't pussyfoot around with these things, because all it does is make everyone mad. Because it looks like a blatant money grab, which is what this looked like.
Well, yeah, but they ripped the Band-Aid off from another point of view, though, which is they've been added all of these perks and so on and so forth. At a certain point, the price was going to go up.
Weren't the perks included in Game Pass, not Xbox Live Gold?
Yeah, but it was all the same.
I thought those were two separate services.
They are. So so
Game Pass is its own thing.
Game Pass is its own thing. So there's multiple different options. So this gets to your point of confusion, right? Because we run a podcast and we so they had Xbox Live Gold, right? And that was basically their version of PlayStation Plus, where you can play online games and you get games per month. Then they had Game Pass, which was their Netflix for games. Then they had Game Pass Ultimate, which bundled Gold and Game Pass and some other shit. This was their way of pushing you to
effectively forcing everybody into Ultimate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is why they should think that shit through ahead of time and just have, like I said, like a silver and gold option. Everyone's on Game Pass. That's what they ultimately want, because they want the month-over-month guaranteed revenue, which is what they're after, which is fine. But, like, do it in a way that makes some goddamn sense.
A lot of people were speculating that they would get rid of Gold altogether, and in so making all games online free to play, because they're they are somewhat tied to on computer PC gaming, right? And there's no subscription fees for playing games on there, so they thought maybe one of the olive branches they could offer you is, hey, come play your games online for free at Xbox, just get your online subscription, connect to the internet. And if you want, there's going to be no more free games. A lot of times these free games are doling out anywhere on Game Pass. So if you want games, sign up for Game Pass. And if you don't, then, come play your games on here. But if you get people playing online games on your service, their whole mentality is to get you hooked on their subscription service. And they want to get you on that $15, $20 service so they can, get your recurring income that way. So I'm a little surprised they didn't go that route. I guess they didn't want to. They didn't want to cut off one of the revenue sources. I don't know how the numbers break down, but yeah.
But I think we talked about that the other night after all this bullshit broke, and we all were like, what you had just surmised, CJ, would have been the smart route, because that's always like the argument, and it's a totally valid argument from like the whole PC superior race or whatever, right? That the fact that console gamers pay to play multiplayer games online is just absurd to them.
Right.
So, That's exactly what they should have done.
Yeah,
and then you really would have put Sony in a corner.
Right.
Exactly. That's why I said it's just such a shame. They spent 18 months like handily winning the PR.
Well, what they then would have done, and what they should have done then, which went back to my initial point, which I was kind of wrong. I was wrong about, but you say, okay, you play online, everything is free, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the free games are gone, which is effectively what you're paying for with gold.
Right.
And then the ultimate stuff is just, we're going to jack it up $5 a month or $10 a month going forward. So, and I think that would have been fair.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agreed.
That's exactly what I said.
Yep.
So Xbox has a little pie in the face, but then also kind of come through and they didn't go as far as we wanted them to go, but definitely.
It's going to happen eventually, though.
Yeah, I think so too.
Exactly.
I think so too.
They just should have done it incrementally rather than one fell swoop.
Well, or like you just said, you do the olive branch way.
Right.
So getting to another customer-friendly company, IOI came out and had some announcements about their James Bond game. Now, we don't know a whole lot about this, but they did announce that their Bond will not be based on any previous actor to,
the movie version, correct?
Movie version, right. Woodsy, what do you think about James Bond not being based on any of the previous Bonds?
I think it's smart for multiple reasons. One, financial. They don't have to pay for likeness rights or have that actor come in and do mocap. Number two, it's smart as well from a narrative point of view because they don't have to tie their James Bond story to any of the events of any of the other previous Bonds, as it were. So it's just smart overall. It gives them a lot more creative freedom, which fantastic.
Yes.
Good for. I think it's a smart move all the way around.
I totally agree. I think sometimes when they try to shoehorn in actual actors to be voice actors, it just doesn't come.
Well, you have expectations, right? There's
right.
expectations tied to Pierce Brosnan or Daniel Craig being Bond,
right?
And
your expectations for an awesome story go way up.
The uncanny valley never quite, yeah.
And this led to an interesting discussion I went into on the IGN comment boards about this, actually. I thought it was an interesting discussion. If you're not going to base Bond around one of the actual historically existing Bonds, could Bond be black? Could Bond be Hispanic? Could Bond be female? You could do whatever.
Yeah, we certainly heard rumors that the movie Bond would be a black Bond. I think that's kind of one of the guys is kind of earmarked even for the next Bond beyond the next one. So I would love to see a black Bond, a female Bond. I'd love to see a female Bond.
Right.
I love Idris Elba.
Yeah, Idris Elba is one of the actors. One of the concerns, he's getting a little up there in age. I think the guys from that Bridgerton show or something was kind of being done for the next Bond. I'd love to see a female or female Bond, black Bond, Asian Bond.
I don't necessarily agree with a female Bond, but there's no problem with a black Bond or whatever else. I think Bond, and there's nothing wrong with having a female Bond in concept, right? There's nothing wrong with that, but it's also okay for there to just be historically male characters and historically female characters. It doesn't. We don't have to in this new age reinvent the wheel for everything.
I think the only problem
they kind of tried that though with Jinx, right? Even in the movies, there were plans for the spin-off series with Halle Berry, right? And it just didn't come to fruition. But there's nothing wrong with that. But she doesn't have to be Jamie Bond.
Yeah,
right?
Well, they don't have to rewrite it. Yeah.
Well, I think the only problem with running a female Bond though would be getting a little close to that whole, the Perfect Dark character and the new game Perfect Dark coming out. So
sure.
what I'm interested in is, okay, we know the bond is not going to be based on one of the previous bonds, whether it's white, black, woman, male,
Right.
whatever. What kind of bond do you want to see? Do you want to see a Daniel Craig bond that's not, more of a gritty, realistic game? Do you want to see more of a Pierce Brosnan bond, where it's kind of this cartoony, more of like gadget kind of thing? Do you want to see more of like which era Bond game would you be most interested in playing?
Right. So I think it should be like if the narrative choices that they make in the game are open enough, where it doesn't matter if you're male or female or black or white or whatever.
Yeah.
It should never matter what race you are. But whatever. I don't care. You could have a character creator for all I give a fuck.
Yeah.
But I kind of like for the video. It sounds shitty, but for video game reasons, I like the Bosnian Bron because he had the gadgets were out of this world, right?
Yeah. For
Like-
video game gameplay, that would be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have gadgets all over.
So that's the route I was gonna go also, but some of the weapons and stuff you get into with Hitman, I'm worried about it being too
Similar.
cringy, So I would almost want to see IO kind of branch out a bit and flex their creative capabilities.
Do a straight third person, just like straightforward action shooter.
Not well. I mean, could be.
Or
I'm
stealth
just
action
curious to see
shooter.
what they could do, because one of the thoughts I had would be funny would be like, if Bond had a very unique haircut, just have like put Agent 47 in there with like this really like obnoxiously fake like Bond wig, and then you just look at the back of the neck and see the barcode, and you're like, oh, this is the exact same fucking game. From
It turns
IO
out it's just
presents-
another level.
IO
it's just
presents
level.
Hitman 4 parentheses Bond.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm worried about with it being the Pierce Brosnan type, So I'm curious to see what direction they'll go. I think you said the creative character might be kind of a clever idea. If they're not going to go with any one particular Bond,
Right.
maybe you can see everyone's version of their own Bond. So
It would be cool if they did some different things, right? So, because I know they've done all sorts of shooters with Bond, and the gadget one's been done too, and all the High Heaven. Like, it'd be cool if they just came up with some elements of the gameplay that were totally unique. Like, I keep spinning back to Hitman here, like, and you brought up character creators. That kind of got me thinking, like, what if you gathered, all these clues, and you had your dossier and all this other shit, and you actually had to design a character that fit the description for the guy you had to go pretend to be, and just kind of shit like that's just completely different than stuff we've seen before, than a generic shooter with gadgets, right?
And now you got my brain going, because I'm thinking one of the really underrepresented elements of any Bond movie in the game format is all of the narrative dialogue and discourse that occurs.
Yeah.
So what if
Yeah.
it had like exponential narrative threads, not unlike a Mass Effect?
Yeah,
Right,
or I was thinking
where-
like LA Noir too. You could
Yeah,
do it
yeah.
that way too.
Well, and then every time you replayed the game, it could be
You could do something totally different.
branching storylines and gameplay. I don't know. That it'd be interesting.
It would be cool if they
I mean,
did something
and
cool
that-
like that.
That would almost complement IO's design philosophy from a sandbox point of view. It would just be executed differently, right?
Yeah.
So they're great at creating these narratives within the game. It's just they're not actual like narrative speech within the game per se.
Right.
Not always. I
Right.
mean, there are a lot of them,
Right.
but you know what I'm saying?
Do know what you're saying.
exactly. Yeah. So, yep. I think that would fit IO's dossier pretty well. So, So, one of the kind of fun stories, I think, I don't know if you put it in here, if it was Woodsy, but a Hitman 3 streamer was able to populate. They dumped all the bodies in Sapienza level into a meat freezer. So,
Yeah,
200
and
bodies just stacked up in there.
Yeah, I heard it took him forever, and then I also heard that he tried dropping some explosive in there. I can't remember which one, but it actually wouldn't kill everyone because of all the dead bodies in the way. Like, it wouldn't kill the people in the edges.
Sapienza is
just
another
crazy.
one of my favorite levels. It's just kind of this little like cold, right by the ocean, I can't imagine running on that level. I can't imagine how long it would have taken to do that. Because I know what it's like to kind of navigate some of these levels to get every.
Well, I was thinking about how you would go about it, right? Because wherever that freezer was, you'd have to start taking down NPC. You'd branch out.
Right.
You'd expand a circular diameter of your VIX, because you're not going to go to the nearest, the furthest one, and have to stealth drag his ass back all the way to the freezer. No, never. So you just your circle of serial killing just expands, and the guy took 8 hours to do it or something like that. So
that was a long time.
I mean, good for him. It's just funny.
And then and I don't think we touched on this last week when we talked about it dropping, but Hitman 3 is getting some pretty strong reviews. IGN and GameSpot both came out with a 9, so I've seen a bunch of 9s, a lot of 5 out of 5s, 4.5 out of 5. So, good on them, man. I saw one of their developers tweet out hey, we're all crying tears of joy right now. We're all reading these reviews live as they post together. It's a company of 200 folks, and it sounds like they were all pretty stoked to see those reviews.
And it's awesome. It's awesome. To have what is a quote unquote good guy developer.
Yeah.
Right.
Treating their employees nice.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And we talked about previously, I often buy a lot of games. When I buy them, I'll wait for the complete edition to come out or buy them on sale. But I want to support companies who make the decisions that they have made insofar as supporting their products over the long term and making them exceptionally rewarding for the consumer. And so I was happy to give them all of the monies this go around, and good for them. And I'm glad that their employees, I hope their employees also reap some of the financial windfall of this. I don't know how their contracts are structured or whatever else.
So it sounds I have no idea either, obviously. I think they self-publish this game, is that right? I know WB
they do. This is the first one. So Hitman 1 was published by, or not Hitman 1.
Was that Vice?
The rebooted Hitman, right, was published by Ubisoft. Then the second one, after they gained independence, was published by WB. This one, I believe, was self-published.
Right. And so IO Interactive is a company of 200 people, and it sounds like they are putting in efforts of doubling their staff, and they want to ramp up about 400 folks over the next few years, because it sounds like they want to make James Bond into a trilogy. It sounds like this is going to be the last chapter in Hitman, at least for the foreseeable future.
That's good, though. That's good.
I think so too. I think they need to let it breathe for a while. I don't know how they would change it, because between all the Hitman games, there's not a lot of differences in the games. There's in Hitman 2, all of a sudden you could use mirrors, and various other things, and then they jammed that all back into Hitman 1. I guess you saying, how things are supported. Now 1 and 2 are all completely playable and have all the same bells and whistles and graphics in Hitman 3.
And then they did the whole fucking, now, if I really want to, and Ryan had a lot of really good things to say about it, but if I want to, I can go back and play every single level of Hitman 1, 2, or 3 in VR.
Yep, and that's a great point too. Yeah. So Ryan did play it in VR, and he had good things to say about it?
He did. He said he liked it a lot. The biggest criticism of it, which is totally valid, and maybe they'll patch out, which it wouldn't surprise me because they're IO. Everybody likes to pitch if something isn't perfect or ideal right away. But if the developer is an awesome developer, a lot of times they will do stuff to enhance, right? So you don't use their individual wand controllers. Yeah. You use just the standard DualShock or DualSense. So he loved it though. He was saying it was it's a different game. It's a different, every game that you would ever play in VR is going to be a different game than. It's just a crazy thing to experience. So he was really enjoying it though.
Fucking A. So, speaking of companies, we had the news drop, I think it was today, that Vicarious Visions has been merged from Blizzard coming from the Activision side. And
So that was actually like middle of last week
Oh, was that
sometime.
last week? Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, that's whatever.
So, yeah, it sounds like they'll be completely dedicated to Blizzard games instead of Activision games.
Yeah.
And which kind of sucks because it takes them off of the Tony Hawk IP. So.
Well, and they've done a couple of remakes too, that being their most recent. But it's unfortunate because I liked the work that they were doing, but everybody like hops on the evil Activision. No, they're already part of Activision. Right. Now they're just focusing on the Blizzard titles, which, if you're a fan of Blizzard titles, you have to be thinking, okay, what are these guys spinning up to help out for with Blizzard? Obviously, Diablo 4 is in the works, so is Overwatch 2. WoW hasn't stopped. So what is cooking on the Blizzard end of things that they needed to basically reassign this entire group of people for? Do I hope that they are able to kind of roll their way out of it after whatever Blizzard commitments are completed, and then they can get back to their own thing? Sure, of course. But we'll see.
Yeah, I totally agree. So let's talk dollars and cents. Tencent, in particular, has been raising billions of dollars to take over the video game world. Was this you, Woodsy?
Yeah. So there's, I guess there's news. Again, I forget when exactly it was. I think it was middle of last week. But Tencent apparently is raising billions and billions of dollars to force a hostile takeover of apparently either EA or Take-Two. So both of those publishers, massive. I have no idea how much, what their market, what they're valued at, to even comment on how much
EA's got
Tencent would need. But Tencent is a massive company. They are one of the 10 largest companies in China. So they're the largest video game company on the face of the globe. They just are. So they have leverage and capital. Obviously, and they're now acquiring more capital for what is obviously going to be a hostile takeover attempt. It would be interesting. I hope it doesn't happen. I really am paying taking a defensive standpoint from for Electronic Arts or even Take-Two. But I hope it doesn't happen, because at the end of the day, these sorts of giant corporate conglomerates taking over other giant corporate conglomerates, it's not good. It just adds to the massive plutocracy, and issues compound, and nothing gets better for the consumer.
Some of the other rumors that they were looking at buying is some of the other mobile game publishers. So I don't know a whole lot about the mobile games, but there was a handful of other ones that were tossed around, like a South Korean developer or something, and I'd never heard of those. But EA and Take-Two are also the ones that I've heard predominantly thrown around, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see that happening in the next, upcoming weeks. So, and another story about money is GameStop stock has skyrocketed thanks to Reddit. A Reddit group named Reddit r/Wall Street Bets has been manipulating the market and taking, shots at these people who like to short stocks, and therefore the stock is up to, as of recording this, what's he, 210?
In aftermarket trading, that probably sounds about right.
Yeah, up from $4. Absolutely.
So, Woodsy, you had some pretty strong comments on this one also. The things you wanted to say on it, so we'll let you kind of run point on this one. But it sounds like Reddit is controlling the market.
How did you hear about it? Are you
So
subscribed to this?
I just took it. I have some fun money that I have aside from like my actual investments for, my Roth and whatever else that I play around with in the markets, and I've done okay. This was good though, because I bought it on the rumors of the deal with Microsoft, and it was either late October or I'm sorry, late September, early October when that transpired, and I don't exactly remember when, but I bought a decent amount of shares at that point in time. Just thinking, okay, I'll take a flyer on this. We'll see what happens. GameStop's outlook not good, but if Microsoft is investing, maybe something could happen. And now, not like market efficiencies are so fucked up right now. Be it Fed intervention because of COVID and all this other shit, or just shit post meme YOLO traders on Reddit, just going big and trying to fucking shove their dick in short sellers' faces. So it's working, and to my benefit, yeah, it's working a lot. So yep, we're gonna ride that rocket ship for maybe one more day. I don't know. We'll see.
The second that thing takes a 10% hit, make sure you sell. Sell.
Yeah, I'm kind of like...
I got fucked by crypto 3 years ago.
Well,
I was when everything was worth 25 grand.
You're right, and that's ultimately what I should do is what's my dip tolerance, and I think 10% from its after hours trading price right now is, that'd be
like a $20 drop. So if you see it dip back under 200, get back out of there.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is like the Wall Street Bets subreddit is pushing through. They're bound to determine and just stick it to the man.
Stick it to the man.
For no reason other than just to fucking bully them on positions that they hold, which is just wild. It's absolutely wild. Short sellers are getting absolutely bent over the bar stool right now.
That's what happens when you trade with leverage, man. You get hurt.
Well, yeah, and I mean there's an actual real world hedge fund that wasn't liquid at the end of yesterday, so they had to have an infusion of cash to even stay solvent. So it's crazy. It's crazy out there right now. Market efficiency is not a thing. It's the wild, wild west out there in the stock market, which is not a good thing for market volatility in general. So I'm gonna get off my capital markets high horse in 5 seconds, but the economy that currently exists is not reflective of what is happening in the market. The only reason the market is what the market is the Fed, and apparently these YOLO meme traders on fucking Reddit who are just out there to just teabag a bunch of shorted positions because they can as a collective. Yet it's so wild. It's absolutely wild to me. But hey, the majority of that community, from what I've heard, it's not like, I mean, people who are in that community on Reddit are like, yo, if this is your life savings, get the fuck out of here. This is not for you. This is for people who, are able to fund their 401ks and all that other bullshit and have fun money, play around with stock trading money, and you do it as a side hobby. And other people who are just looking to jump in who also have this excess capital, which in and of itself, you want to talk about the differentiation between the haves and the have-nots. We can go there, but this is an example of that, where don't get in if you don't have the money to lose. Don't get in.
It's gambling.
Stay
It's
far
still
away.
gambling.
They're far away.
It always is, unless you have all the money.
Unless you have all
win. Yeah, because they always win.
Yeah.
So we have some release dates we want to get into. Kind of a hard pivot here. Resident Evil Village had their little showcase last week. They did not have the drop of Resident Evil 4 remake that everyone was hoping for. However, they did have quite a few hot vampires in there. Did you guys see the trailer for Resident Evil Village? Everyone's so thirsty for these vampire queens.
Yeah, I saw the long nail chick.
Yeah. She. Everyone was very excited about her. She plays what appears to be the mother or the head mistress of the house, and then they have all these other little vampire ladies, and you're running through there as Ethan, the protagonist from RE7. It sounds like you're there to find your daughter because for some reason she has been taken by Chris, and you don't know what's going on. So you're in a big ass mansion. It sounds like, from the looks of it, it might be like maybe 15-20 hour game, depending on like judging by the size of the last house. And
so I have heard that the demo is completely standalone from the main game.
It is,
and you can't die in it, but.
And I don't think you can.
Let's be honest.
There's no
Let's
weapons.
be honest.
There's no.
If you're gonna put female vampire ladies in a video game, are they gonna look like Rosie O'Donnell?
Everyone was quite flustered. Or
nobody's getting. Rosie O'Donnell ain't gonna seduce anybody. Okay, you gotta have sexy vampire ladies. I'm sorry, these are the facts.
They were like they became of like bugs. It looked like almost to form these bodies and whatnot. So but everyone was quite thirsty after that demo. So did you guys watch demo at all or no?
I did not.
I did. It was cool.
No. Yeah, it looks. I mean, first person. So I don't know if I'm gonna play it. Although I did play through 7 and enjoyed that. I'm just kind of curious because I am not super deep into the RE lore, but I'm kind of intrigued by it. So maybe I'll take a look. Maybe not. We'll see.
It's not worth being deep into the lore of that game.
I like getting into the lore of games, though. I'm just kind of figuring out how these stories tie together and why they do this shit. That's why.
Well, it is interesting because, 7 and 8 will connect in ways that other games haven't.
Right.
So,
yeah. So maybe not. But they did also announce a free kind of tie-in multiplayer game called Resident Evil Reverse. Now, I know you don't watch the trailer for 8, but did you see anything about Reverse at all or no?
I did not.
So RE Reverse takes place in what looks to be the RE Resident Evil 2 police station. And it's a multiplayer game, where you go around shooting at each other and whatnot. And it's a cell shaded. So it's kind of this interesting art style. It's a hard pivot off of the 7 and 8 art style, off of the RE2 art style. It's cell shaded, like you're playing a Telltale game almost. And one of the interesting things they did was, from what it sounds like, is they use the exact same map as they use in RE2. But if you play RE2, you know that you're walking through tight corridors and you're very tight spaces going around corners and there's shells and shit everywhere. Well, they left all that in there, but what they did to allow for a multiplayer game is they shrunk all the characters way down. I thought it was kind of a creative way.
That is a creative way to do that.
Reuse assets, tie in a free game. I don't think I'll ever play this game, but it's kind of a clever way to solve a problem of space, right?
Yeah.
So
interesting way for sure.
That's one way to do it.
I touched on it earlier, but there was no RE4 remake announcements, and it sounds like the game is real, but it has undergone a major overhaul due to some disagreements in the game's direction. So it sounds like we're still looking at 2023, the best case scenario right now for RE4. So a little sad because I really enjoyed 2 and 3 remake. It sounds like we'll have to wait a while for RE4. So one of you two put a hard stop in here after this story. So which one of you two?
That was me. It was just because we were getting to the 45-minute mark and we had a pile of shame update, and I know Woods was smoking some stuff this weekend. So
Yeah, so we will get to the other fun stories later, but Woodsy, what is your pile of shame looking like these days? Did you buy more games?
Well, so the
Is
pile
there
of shame update is really just the update about us playing the other night, which I'd like to do another play along, play through together again at some point this weekend or later in this week. So if we could manage to pull CJ away from Ghost of Tsushima, it would be fun too.
Come play with us.
hard?
Yeah.
Hard. I'll say what you said last. Hard maybe.
Yeah. So, yeah, I want to just keep playing that game. I need to keep playing the single player of that game as well. So,
I think we should just move off to that and let's move on to
you'd like that, wouldn't you? What is
Nope.
CJ?
No reasons,
See
just
Woods blowing chalk out his ass.
Yep.
Poof.
So you didn't buy anything this week, though, did you?
Oh, not yet. I actually was
Ooh.
busy bitching about the PlayStation Store's lack of a dedicated deal section earlier today to some folks on a comment board, and everybody was in agreement that it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I'd be filling my cart.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, GameStop.
Fucking GameStop.
Fucking
I'm going to buy it from the PlayStation Store, not go to you.
Buy all the games now. So with that being said, that concludes the 28th episode of the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast. We thank you, the listener, for tuning into all of our uncut takes and all things video games. We hope you join us each and every week for more Raw Cuts Gaming. If you'd like to be part of the conversation or see how much you hate us, you can certainly reach out to us. The best place to get a hold of us is either on our Twitter handle at Raw Cuts Gaming. You could also reach out to us via email if you'd like, rawcutsgaming@gmail.com. You know what to send.
Porn.
And as always, you can put some comments in the YouTube channel if you want, Raw Cuts Gaming. Watch the videos there. Give us a like, subscribe, share on iTunes or Apple, or Google, or wherever you listen to your podcast at. Other ways to get a hold of us. D, what's the best place to get a hold of you?
I am at NakedGamer84 on Twitter, and I am noob with the zeros _ NakedGamer on the Twitchies.
If people want to hear your hot takes, your Twitter beef makes, your IGN board posting fakes, where can people get a hold of you? I know you post on the IGN boards, man. You're...
You can find me at Woods _or_Wads at the Z. And then
if people want to watch your live streams, where can we do that?
Gaming on Twitch.
Come check him out snoring on his couch at 11:15 at night. And if you want to get a hold of me, your resident trophy hunting host, you can find me on Twitter at CJ Reindahl.
Look out for that live stream later in the week, everybody. CJ's going to join. Yeah, we're doing it now. Right after this. Crash Team Racing coming up.
Games.
Peace.